Welcome to Pressing Matters. I'm your host, Jamal Radio Raheem. Now, Pressing Matters is your favorite show about vinyl, whether I'm interviewing somebody, going to a record store, or just yapping about vinyls. And that's what you're going to get on this episode. I'm going to talk about the vinyls I want to add in my collection, whether they've never been pressed or they cost a ridiculous amount, and I ain't paying that price. So, without further ado, let's get it, shawty. Now, the first album that I want to add in my collection is All I Have by A. Marie. Now, I don't think this album has ever been pressed, but I need it. I needed it like yesterday. This album came out in 2002, and it has been in my rotation since the year it came out. There are so many bangers on there. You have Talking to Me, Why Don't We Fall in Love, you know what I mean? Nothing Like Loving You. There's nothing like loving you. Peep the vocals. That album is just flawless. Not a single skip on there. Introduced me to a certain sound. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, when the moment I heard that, I knew that album was the one. A. Marie is one of them ones. She's somebody that doesn't get talked about enough. She's somebody I think is highly underrated. Like, her debut album, All I Have, was fire, but her album that followed, I think it's called Touch, that got Rolling Down My Face. That album was great as well. I need to get that pressed on vinyl like yesterday. Like yesterday. I need that album. Like, I'm just looking for singles at this point. Love that album. Love A. Marie. The next album that I need to get on vinyl, and I don't think this has ever been pressed either, that is Absol Control System. Control System came out in 2012, I think. This album is just, it's hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, this album is just flawless. This is a perfect album. The sequencing of this album. He got songs on there that make you want to shed a tear. The Book of Soul. Every time I hear that, I get more emotional as if I've never heard that song. That song is just crazy, man. It's crazy. He put his heart into this album. Empathy's on there, Double Standards on there, track 2, Bohemian Grove is on there. Like, what's Your Body's Calling? That's on. There's so many songs on there. That album is just flawless, and I don't know what TDE is doing. Y'all drop the vinyl. We gonna buy it. Trust me, I'm gonna buy 2 copies alone because I'm framing one of them. I love Control System by Absol. I want that on vinyl. Next album, Victoria Monet's Jaguar. Now, this album is pressed on vinyl. I just don't want to pay the price that people are trying to get for it. Like, come on, y'all. Y'all ridiculous now. I think Jaguar was like, when I heard this, I knew she was going to be a star. You know, and I've heard her plenty of times before. I think the first time I actually heard her was on a T.I. song. But the moment I heard her on Jaguar, and I said, this woman is a star. You know what I'm saying? And of course, I heard her on like the Ariana Grande stuff. And I knew she was a songwriter, but I didn't know she had like this type of skill. Jaguar by Victoria Monet. Like, this your motherfucking moment. That song, whoo! It's your motherfucking moment. Shout out to Victoria Monet. Jaguar is something that I need in my collection. And I'm probably just going to need to pull the trigger and drop like 100 on it. I'm probably going to have to. This next album that I want in my collection, Jim Crow the Musical by Add2. This album came out in 2019. And I missed the original drop. And I'm mad that I missed it because there weren't that many copies. This album is flawless. This album is perfect. This album is black. I didn't know who Add2 was. Never heard of him. I be on these music blog sites like Heavy, and I kept seeing the picture. And I said, that's an interesting title. Jim Crow the Musical. I said, let me check this dude out. And the moment I heard it, I put so many people onto this album. This album is fantastic. It's fantastic. And I need him to press this album again. Add2, if you see this, I might tag you because I need you to press that album on vinyl again. I needed it like yesterday. I've talked about this album so much. I probably talked about this album more than he's talked about the album. I promoted the album more than he did. That's how much I love this album. Anytime somebody asks me like, yo, what's an underground, what's an album that you think people should listen to? And I don't go with the usual suspects. I always say this album. It is that great. It is that great, man. I need it. I need it. I need it. I said it enough times. Add to, please press this on vinyl again. Please. Now this next album that I want on vinyl, I've never seen any of their work anywhere. I've never seen it. Not a single nothing. And we're talking about SWV, It's About Time. Now that album has so many hits on there. Like we could talk all day about the hits. But really what I want to talk about is their voices. My gosh, can you imagine how it's going to sound coming out the speakers on vinyl? I've never seen anything by SWV though. It's About Time is just a fantastic album. Now I actually like their follow-up album more because like I just think it fits more like who I am. You know what I mean? That's the album that has Use Your Heart. But It's About Time is a better album. I'm not about to sit here and cap. And I need it for my collection. I need it as an R&B lover. I need it because it came out in my born year. Like there's so much about this album that I love and I want it. I want it. They were singing down in this album, I tell you. They were singing down. Like I've never seen anything by SWV. And then when I like look for certain stuff on Discog or whatever, the stuff be going for hundreds of dollars. And I'm just not. And it'd be singles. It'd be singles going for that. I love SWV. But my bank account don't love them. My bank account is like, nigga, chill out. Relax. So, the last album that I want to add to my collection is The Bucket List by Saba. This album came out in 2016. 2016 was like one of the most important years of my life. This album means so much to me because this album has inspired me to do stuff that I wouldn't like. Any of the content that I make, like this is the album that inspired me. I even had a podcast called The Bucket List where I was going through albums that I think everybody should listen to or before they die. And I still might make a list. I think I'm going to make a list one day of albums that I think everybody should hear before they die. But this album inspired me to be like, you know what? Go make content. Whether it takes off or not, just make content. This is what you said you want to do. Go do it. Stop talking about it. Just do it. You know, and outside of that, I think this album was genius how he did it. I like how it has like these little interludes of people talking about like what's on their bucket list. Like Lupe, Chance is on there. Like I think it's dope, honestly. I'm a big fan of Saba. I think he's one of the best young rappers. Well, he's like my age at this point. So I don't know if he's considered a young rapper, but I think he's one of the best rappers out. I like the grind that he's been on. I like the pivot game. I like everything they're doing. And I need the bucket list. I need it. I need it. I need it. You know. But let me go over the albums that I want to add in my collection one more time. And the albums that I hope get pressed. Amory, All I Have. Absol, The Control System. SWV, It's About Time. Add to Jim Crow, the musical. Saba's The Bucket List. Victoria Monet's Jaguar. I need all those in my collection. If y'all know where I can get those albums too, holla at your boy. But until next time, peace.